Hey y'all, this time I'm here to talk about a very serious subject, as you can see with the title, Rape, Let's Talk. And for those who don't know, I say in all my videos with the tag of Let's Talk, I'm going to talk very seriously, brutally honest. I'm just going to tell y'all what it is and what it ain't. Now, the reason I'm bringing this subject up is because I've talked about it quite often with friends, loved ones, family, you know. Well, I wouldn't say too often like I do other subjects, but I've talked about it quite a bit. And because this, I'm quite disturbed by this current view of the subject that is going on in this culture and this society. So let me begin by saying this. Number one, if you've ever talked with me long enough, and especially if we got onto this sort of topic, this general topic, I'm very serious about this. I love, especially my female friends, female love. I love, love women. I respect them greatly. Male or female, this is an act that can traumatize. It's a great tragedy, whether it be a child, a teenager, or an adult. This is something that is not something that should be laughed at. There are jokes made about it. It should not be joked about. This is a subject, a topic that is very serious. It impacts people in a multitude of ways, most of which are very, very negative. So understand that when I'm coming into this. Now, rape. Number one, what is rape? Or sexual assault, sexual battery alone. There's a difference, and there's a difference of way to do it. But rape, and what is, rape can be said, there's two ways to look at it. Rape is, it's like you run through, like you totally just massacre, molest, not necessarily sexual. It's not necessarily sexual, but how it's usually, the terminology when we're talking, and I'll be talking in this scenario. Like, you can rape a team, like just totally destroy them, or an army rapes and pillages, not necessarily sexual, but it totally destroys the opposition. But rape in the usual sense is dealing with sexual interaction, and it's unconsensual sex. Understand that? Child molestation is a bit different because, first and foremost, I don't understand. I've never understood, and I've tried to understand it, don't get why people would touch children, period. Children are undeveloped. They are not, they're not sexually, there yet. It doesn't make any sense. You're scarring that child. It just totally, it makes no sense. Let me just put it that way. It'll make no sense, okay? Rape nowadays is being thrown around very loosely. If you were accused, there's women and men out here just being accused. Not necessarily, nothing found, but people are pretty much writing them off just as they did it. That's wrong. Okay? There are people being falsely accused. This waters down actual rape victims. And that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. Because this is a very serious issue. It's just as serious as if somebody on robbery, got away, or, a con man, a Ponzi schemer, a murder, a cold-blooded murder. This is just as serious, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very serious. For those who fear terrorism, this is even more serious. It is. Because it usually begins a cycle that affects many other individuals. A lot of those who've been raped may end up raping or sexually assaulting another individual, usually someone who was younger than them. You understand? To keep this as short as possible and to not just explode, because this can be quite an emotional topic for me. I'll give two examples of how ridiculous and how we need to check ourselves with laws and everything else. Now, my views on law, I won't even get into that one. And my views on culture, I will talk shortly about that one. Then I'll show two examples and call the video, so y'all can get the general gist of what I'm getting at. Number one, Our culture promotes rape. It does. When I was growing up, I'm not that old, y'all, early 20s, as I've said in other videos. When I was growing up, sex, it was still an intimate thing. It wasn't all this culture, sex and stuff. It was hinted at. It was in the lyrics and music and in movies and stuff. It was hinted at. Lyrics they mentioned sex a couple times, but it wasn't this, for the most part, it wasn't this, explicit content of that way. And if it was, those were usually, whether it be rap, rock, whatever, there was usually a certain audience. It wasn't a mainstream thing. Romance was still a big thing on TV and otherwise. It was about romance. It wasn't about necessarily sex, getting married, all that kind of jazz. Oh, that changed. That changed about not even a decade ago, man. That changed maybe between 5 to 8 years ago. The game's just changed. Sex is everywhere. Where you can be daytime, primetime TV, kids are being exposed to way more than I did. I mean, you got the internet. See, at least with the internet, even though some stuff pops up, at least with the internet, you usually have to search stuff. But now that it's all on TV, all in literature and movies and whatnot, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. At the same time, this hookup culture, the fact that, divorce rate is ridiculously high. You have parents having these boyfriends and girlfriends just moving in like that, not thinking of what it can do to their children's lives. You have, not, abstinence only. I'm not saying that, but I do believe in abstinence. I do believe in presenting every type of sexual education to children by a certain age. Okay? Because if you want prevention of pregnancy, STDs and such, you need to present them, including abstinence. If you want to say condoms, fine. Birth control, fine. But everything. I remember being about 11. Before I even understood what sex was, I didn't really get to what sex was till I was in my teen years. But by the age of 11, I began hearing the talks. Number one, here's how I viewed it. And here's how I was taught it, and here's how I viewed it. It makes sense. If you don't have sex, you can't get, just to me as a male, end up getting a girl pregnant. Now, if you do get her pregnant, it was about responsibility. It wasn't about abortion. Screw that with abortion. You're probably going to be too young to get a job and financially be able to take care of your lover, your girlfriend, whatever, and the child. Namely, the child. How is the child going to survive? You understand what I'm saying? How is it going to be taken care of? How are you going to provide for it? That's number one. Okay? Your high school, what's going to happen with that? If you want even a chance at college, what's going to happen with that? You're probably just going to have to end up in a job. And times had started to get harder to get jobs to begin with. Part-time ain't going to be able to cut it. You understand? And then there's, are you trying to be another statistic getting on governmental support? I wasn't trying to do all that jazz. And then the second, and I still hold to this, STDs, man. At the time I didn't understand all of these, and I still don't know a whole lot of them. But HIV and AIDS, and there's a difference. HIV, you can have it, but AIDS, you're screwed. We don't have any cure for AIDS. Once you get AIDS, you're screwed. But I mean, there was syphilis. There was these. Y'all know the gist of it. There was these diseases. If you're not careful, end up with them. You got kids, 15, 16, ending up with this stuff. And and I've said this, being promiscuous. Now, can you get it from an individual, one person? Sure, it's possible. But the less partners you have, the less possibility you have to get an STD. That's just factual. That's straight logic. There ain't no disputing. Now, condoms, okay, I get that. Contraceptions, I get that. Birth control and stuff, whatnot. I understand that. I get all that. But if we taught kids, responsibility. If you're, think about this. This is how I viewed it for some years now. If you're old enough and mature enough to make that adult decision, because it's an adult decision to have sex, you better be ready to take care of a child, just in case that happens. If you're not ready to take a child, you better be slow. You better slow down on sex. It's not like sex is essential. Eating, that's kind of essential. Drinking, y'all get the gist. Sex is not essential. You can live without having sex. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I know the hormones are kicking during the teen years, and I'm not trying to tell people what to do. People make decisions for their lives. But also, you got to understand, I'm not even going to get an abortion on this one, but you also got to understand, I've heard many folks telling me the potential negative aspects of having sex at a young age. 13, 14, 15 years old, I don't understand why y'all having sex to begin with. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. In this culture and stuff, it makes no sense. Kids aren't ready. They're not mentally, emotionally, they're not, none of that. Spiritually, none of that. They're not ready. Just because your body physically might be ready, I don't care what anybody says, there are other parts to you. There's the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual aspects. It may affect you. It may change you in a certain way. Maybe not at the moment. It was good at the moment. Are you going to feel guilt? Or can you handle these emotions? Can you handle if this information gets out? I mean, sex tapes and all this stuff. You understand what I'm saying? People got to think out here. We got to teach kids how to think. But, like I said, I'm not going to extend this into a long dialogue on this one. 2 examples of why the issue of rape has gotten to just ridiculous. Number one, it's a recent case. I believe she pled no contest or something. The young lady, the 18-year-old young lady, y'all probably have heard of her. I forget which state she's in. But I've been against this foolishness for a long time. Now, here's the premise. Understand this. For those who don't know and haven't seen my other videos or who don't know me personally, I am anti-homosexual. I do not believe in the homosexual lifestyle. With that being said, I respect every human. And every human is free to choose his or her own lifestyle, as long as that lifestyle does not harm other individuals in any way. You do what you do privately. That's your business. To a certain degree. And then there's nuances in it. But that's the general gist of it. I believe in freedom. I'm supporting an advocate of freedom. This young lady, now mind you, it's the 18-year-old young lady. She is being charged, I believe it's rape, if I'm not mistaken. It's rape or sexual assault, sexual battery, one of the 3. Y'all get the gist. And the parents charging her with this because she's having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old female. Now, mind you this. Now, if you heard that, it's like, oh, but the law. First of all, the laws are, I'm not even going to go. I'm going to hold off on that. This young lady's been in a relationship with this other young lady for years. They're both high school students. She just turned 18 when she got arrested. Understand that? She just turned 18. She didn't get dealt with when she was 16, 17 years old. They're both in the same high school. See, here's where a lot of huge problems are presented with this age stuff. You go to the same high school. You can be an adult in high school. Legally an adult. That's a problem. That's a problem with the way rape is viewed. Now, for my take, this is my opinion. I don't usually give opinion, but here's my opinion. I generally believe, and I've said this multiple times, that the parents were not happy or accepting of their daughter living a homosexual, lesbian lifestyle. And this young lady, now go look up this young lady. She has a young looking face. She does not look 18 years old. She might be that, but she don't look it. She looks young. Like 15, 16. Not gonna lie. She does look young. Okay? And so she's been in this relationship. And then, come on, y'all had to know. They had to know. Y'all didn't know you're 14. I believe it was either 13 or 14 that their daughter got in this relationship with this other young lady who is now, she was 16 or 17 when the relationship started. Now she's 18. Y'all didn't know? Y'all didn't know at least they were close like that? Just being real. That's a problem. But to say she raped, rape is unconsensual. I said at the beginning of the video, I guarantee the sexual interaction was consensual. The other young lady knew what she was doing. And if you look at this young lady, now I don't know her, but she does not give any menacing kind of, you feel me? She didn't look like she gave in a threatening, she doesn't give off this threatening vibe. Now I may be wrong, but I don't know her. But I don't get that from this situation. It seemed there's other things in it. It's been a while since I heard the story, but it was fishy. Now moving on to not keep this video for too long. This is the story that really started getting me, and I kept hearing more and more about this foolishness. This story is what really started getting me speaking out about this foolishness and this dulling down of the issue of rape. Okay, it was, I think it might have been in Ohio, maybe it was Pennsylvania, I forget. It was somewhere up north. Okay, and it was a case where now teacher, student, I get that. College is a bit different. I get why teachers, students are a no-no with people. I get that. But here's the thing, man. This has to deal with males. Now, 15, 16, 17-year-old, I can't speak for females. Females are different. As a male, as a man, okay? I knew sex, I knew it's, hormones or whatever. I knew, the feelings I was getting, whatever. Kiss the girl, hug the girl, whatever. When I was that age, 15, 16, 17 years old. I'm not that far removed, y'all. I knew those thoughts and whatever when I was that age. I knew what I would have been doing if I would have done it. I do. They know what they're doing. As a male, come on, man. By the age of 15, you know. You know about sex. You know what you're getting yourself into. Younger than that, different story. 15, 16, especially 17 years old. And believe these young men were 17. 17. Okay? Young adults. 17. You care what anybody says. You're 17 years old. You're a young adult by that. Because you're not going to change much from 17 to 18. 16 below? Okay, a little bit different. Even though 16 is, you're, okay. You're old enough. And this goes kind of back to ties in with the 15-year-old young lady. Even though at 15 you're not allowed to independently drive, you're allowed to be behind the wheel of a potential deadly weapon. At the age of 16, you're allowed to drive in your own a potentially lethal weapon. A vehicle with plenty of power. But they don't understand the ramifications of having sex. Now, if they don't, that's a whole list of other problems. At home, at school, in the community, that's a whole other list of problems. I'm not excusing the child, but what I'm saying is, can we put some responsibility on the young person? Can we put some responsibility on the home life, on the community? Can we do that? Trying to make the state, the law, mommy and daddy. That's very much a problem. Very, very much a problem. But with these young men, there was, I believe, it was between 3 to 6 of them. I can't remember the exact, but it was multiple of them. Here's the problem. If you want to say this, here's 2 problems that the teacher did. She, number 1, supplied them with alcohol, I believe. And number 2, she had them over at her house or whatever. Okay, if that's the problem, understand. But pretty much, in this situation, the teacher ended up having sex, orgy, however you want to view it. She had sex with multiple young dudes. All of them were football players. Now, football players and athletes don't exactly have the greatest of reputations when it comes to these kind of things. But come on, 16, 17 years old with a teacher, and especially if she may be being good looking, I forget, it's been a while since I heard this. Does that sound problematic to anybody else? It does to me anyway. They knew. But here's the kicker. Their parents had them arrested. Well, they might have been a 15 at the time. I forget. There's been multiple stories. But anyways, football players, about 3 to 6 of them, they had sex with this, and she was drunk too. But she's a rapist. She has sexually abused these teenagers. I'm just letting that sink in. She sexually abused these teenagers? Really? How? could go off on child molestation. I could go off. But I'm not going to. Because child molestation, I don't care. Pedophilia and all that should not be acceptable. Period. Period. But can we bring into realization, and also I have to mention this, rape can happen in and outside or inside of a marriage. Yes, it can. Remember, if somebody is forced to, it is rape. Doesn't matter if you're in a domestic situation, it is rape. And get this, men can be raped too. It's true. There's multiple ways for sexual acts to happen. It's true. And I won't get into all this because I'm trying to keep this PG-13, y'all. I'm trying to keep this video PG-13. But understand, we have made a serious offense. We have doled it down. You know how many people are considered sexual predators? Voyeurism can get you pretty much on a sexual predator list. Am I saying these activities, certain activities are right? No. And accusations, what happened to me? Of course, you're guilty until proven innocent in this legal system, this BS legal system. What happened to innocent until proven guilty? What happened to actually having fair trial? What actually happened to evidence? Now, if there's text messages, phone calls, you know, you got records, sure. If there is videotape, y'all get the gist. Can we get real about this issue? I'll leave it at that. The Unexpected Wonder, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sorry if this video was long for some of y'all. Cool if you watch this whole thing. But y'all, this is a serious issue, a serious topic. But we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about the nonsense that's going on. We don't want to talk about the amount of people who are getting raped annually, daily. I'll just leave it at that. All right, y'all. See y'all next time. Peace. Have a beautiful day.